Prestige TV Podcast, Episode 6, Task. Rob Mahoney. He died in Episode 6. No, he didn't die. Other people did die. Rob Mahoney sadly...
He died before the opening credits of Episode 6 of Task.
Rob Mahoney is sadly ill. He'll be fine. But ill enough that he couldn't be on an unbelievable episode. So I shout out to him. We miss Rob.
We'll have him for the finale, though.
Well, all that happened this episode was Robbie died, Lizzie died, Tom confronted Grasso about being the mall, and Robbie double-crossed everybody and pulled it off.
Yeah, just that.
We just only pulled that stuff out.
Just like a nothing
58
episode.
Minutes. Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Let's start. Well, should we say that we've got Brad Ingelsby on this episode as well?
Oh, we have Brad Ingelsby, the showrunner, creator of this thing, at the end. And you could hear him dive into some of the decisions and why he did this show in the first place. So we were all leading. This is kind of this new trend of the second to last episode being the biggest episode, which I don't know when that started, but it was 20, 25 years ago. This was the action episode.
What was the first one you remember? Thrones really popularized it.
I felt like Sopranos initially would do it, but then Thrones was when I think people were aware of like, oh, the ninth episode is that's the episode. Mm-hmm. And now it feels like pretty standard. Although in this case, it's the 6th episode.
I was a little surprised about how much happened in this episode. And then the question we have to ask ourselves is like, now what do we do with there's still things to do, but there's so much episode, like the finale, there's so much
we still have 60 minutes left.
Yeah.
Well, so when we did the episode 5 recap, we were wondering how they were going to get out of this shootout and still have 2 episodes left. Because in the shootout, it felt like with these 3 groups, we had the Tarantino triangle happening, and it was just like, well, is everybody going to die? Is it like, how are we going to get out of this? And we figured out a way to get out of it somehow. I'm still not sure why Robbie didn't get shot immediately with all these people coming in on him. But we had...
Because Tom had no ammunition, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that might have been part of it. But we end up with a double fight.
Mm-hmm.
We're splitting between... Were you surprised that Tom was able to hold his own with Perry? I mean, we saw Tom like creaking around and
I was
barely able to go up and down stairs.
Surprised.
All of a sudden, he's Muhammad Ali.
Pulled all of his Hulk energy out for that. Yeah. I mean, it helps that I guess that Perry is an older guy, but we've watched Perry like punch people, drown people, like do a bunch of stuff this season. So and also it was taking me away from the Jason Robbie showdown, which I was so captivated by.
I thought that was the single best moment of the season when he's killing Jason and he's like, fucking die. And then all of a sudden his eyes go up.
Yeah.
And when I was watching it live, I thought, oh, he killed him. This is like his reaction. But then you realize something happened. He rolls over and you just see the knife sticking up. I thought that was such a cool shot how they did that.
I thought that was so good. I was almost wondering when I watched it live, I was almost wondering, is he going to kill him or is he going to decide like, I'm better than this. I'm not going to kill a guy, even though we watched a shootout at the beginning of the season, like is his moral fiber going to prevent him from doing this? And so that I was like trying to parse what was going on in his face, and what was going on in his face is he had a knife stuck in his ribs. And I like that they didn't show us the knife until the roll off and all that sort of stuff. But it's a classic move.
It is. We've seen it many times,
but it still works.
It juked me in this one.
Really
I didn't see it. Yeah. I just thought he was going to kill him.
Yeah.
Get away.
And Tom Pelphrey is such a like surprising performer. Like you never kind of know what he's going to do. Yeah. So I was like, maybe that's just the face that Robbie makes when he's about to kill a guy. Right. But it's actually the face he makes when he's about to die.
Well, he doesn't die right away because we get the car ride and yet again, hearkening back to Heat. We get the one guy cradling the other guy and and we get to him looking in the trees. And
I thought his death was really good. Like the music was really good. He flashes to the kids. He flashes to Maeve. We hear him tell that story about, that we've heard him tell before about how he and Billy hop on a dragon and fly away. And then he's like in the quarry, his happy place. I thought that was a great death scene. Really, really good.
Big. I've learned not to guess awards anymore because every time I think somebody has something locked down,
someone comes in and surprises
then other
you.
stuff happens, and then by the end of the year when they're in the list, they don't make it. But I find it hard to believe he's not going to be in the conversation.
It's really interesting. Have you heard anything from HBO about why they decided this should be a fall show? Because this is like not primo Emmy qualification time. Usually you would hold something that you really think is going to go.
I think they needed it.
Yeah.
I think post-COVID when they're making less shows.
Because there's a lot between this and the Emmys. There's like the Pit season 2, a bunch of other stuff that's coming. So, but I think Pelphrey, Mayor won a ton of Emmys for People, right?
Yeah.
And so I would love to see Pelphrey win for this. I think he's so good in the show.
So we think, and I think Ruffalo was really good too, but I think Pelphrey's the first character you remember from this show would be my guess.
I think so. Though it depends what they do with Grasso in the finale, because all of this is now coalescing around Grasso's character, right? In a major way. So that's interesting.
Hold that thought. We'll get to Grasso.
Okay.
Because the other person that died is Lizzie.
Were you surprised that Lizzie and Robbie died so early in the episode? Because they die before.
I was shocked by the Lizzie death. I don't know why I didn't see it coming, but they set it up perfectly with the hearing thing. That's always a great gimmick in movies or shows like this when somebody gets shot too close to the ear.
Yeah, and it's ringing.
Copland did it really well with Stallone.
And the sound design on it was really good.
And then you just kind of lose your bearings and you can't hear anything anymore. And you're just,
I thought it was wild that, so Robbie and Lizzie die in the first 15 minutes and then they put the title up, Task. So it's essentially like the cold open for the episode are these 2 big deaths. And we had been worried about
there were other deaths too. I mean, there was like, 5?
Yeah.
3 other ones too?
Yeah. But like, we've been worried about Lizzie and Grasso sort of coming to a head. If one of them's a mole, what's going to happen? They've been setting this up. The running worry about Lizzie freezing or not, or what's she going to do? This is to me almost worse than Grasso killing her, because that's something we worried might happen, that he would shoot her. This is almost worse, or at least juicier dramatically.
He basically did kill her. He just didn't kill her.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
which is worse.
He can't take ownership of it.
Yeah.
But he's still responsible for it.
The car thing was abrupt and brutal.
Yeah.
And then of course everybody gets to see it too. But tough one. There's no death scene for Lizzie. She's just dead.
Well, he's holding her, and he's
but it
like,
wasn't
"You're
like,
okay."
What happened? She's just
gone.
fucking gone. Yeah.
I think that I loved that shot too. She turns to camera, and then she's hit by the car.
Yeah.
Aaliyah and Grasso running towards her, but neither of them make it in time. I thought all of that was really good, and I think what's even sadder, because they set it up last episode, right? Someone's gonna have to call out from the radio from the car. We have no reception, so we were wondering about that. But she's calling for backup. But what's so tragic is backup's already there, right? Like that guy goes to pick up Tom and he's like, "Oh, my deputies are right behind me." So she did all of that for nothing, right? Because they were coming anyway. Sad.
Tough one. Big winner though. Who is the actress?
Alison Oliver.
Yeah, big winner. She's really good in this.
Yeah.
And Grasso now is just evil. I hate Grasso now.
Okay, interesting. I loved this episode for Grasso because the scene that he has with Michael Dorsey, and that actor whose name I didn't write down, we did get an email about it a couple of weeks ago. Someone was surprised that we didn't call out that he's one of the guys in Risky Business, like one of Cruz's friends in Risky Business.
That's Cruz's friend who has sex with the hooker in the upstairs? So, that's the same guy?
So they were like,
Gabriel Sabarge.
You know my favorite like casting spoiler thing?
Yeah.
Someone's like, that guy's coming back. He's the guy from Risky Business. And so
that's good.
Him showing up with an all-time like corrupt cop like movie name, Michael Dorsey, right? Michael Dorsey, great corrupt cop name. I love that scene with the two of them in the kitchen, right? When he puts his head under the water. Grasso's like, "Do you tell him I was a good boy?" And Grasso's grappling with all of this. And then the scene with Grasso and Tom. Like, this was such a good Grasso episode. And I'm so...
Well, you missed... I thought he was good in the extended shootout with...
Oh, yes.
Trying to navigate the bad guys and doing that stuff and being sneaky, but also being locked into what was happening. And I also didn't know if he was going to turn on Lizzie at any point.
Right.
Just like when he's behind her, when she has that guy lined up, was he just going to shoot her from behind? Like everything was in play. It was good.
Very tense. So you just hate him? You don't feel
I don't know. I love the character.
You don't feel sorry for him at all?
Why would I feel sorry for him?
I don't know. I think there's something like really.
You just like him. You're like, no, Grasso's misunderstood.
I don't think he's misunderstood. Obviously, he is responsible for all of this. But there's all season he's been asking Tom about God and faith and all this sort of stuff like that. And so it's the kind of guy where like I don't want him to get away with it. I'm not rooting for him that way. He needs to be punished for what happened or have
it's like
consequences.
A damaged bird.
But like he feels like a guy who made a mistake and then kept making those mistakes. And the way that his boss like holds his head under the tap like he's his abusive dad, like it was really twisted, like what's revealed about the nature of their relationship. That was really interesting to me.
Well, let's do this now. I was going to do it later, but let's do it now. So what do we think Grasso's backstory is? And maybe we're going to find out in this last episode a little bit, but the stuff we learned in episode 6 about that he was being looked at suspiciously for some dark arts intelligence. So obviously he has a history of that. By the way, I mean, major nitpick. How does that not come up?
How did he get on the task force in the beginning? Because there were no charges, but it's in his file.
Of all the people to put on, we're putting this guy in the task?
I mean, a thought I had is that, you know, if his boss, Michael Dorsey, is also corrupt, which he is, if they say, hey, do you have someone for the task force? He's like, I'm going to put my guy Grasso on there because we want our own, you know, mole in there.
Yeah.
So he's got those because like he's not a one-man corrupt job, right? It's a corrupt department. So
is Michael Dorsey part of the dark arts or just getting paid off by them? Do you think he actually belongs?
I don't think he's like patched in or anything like that, but I think he has a long history of passing them information. Yeah. And Grasso, it's like Grasso feels newer to it. And Dorsey's like, don't fuck this up. We've got a good thing going with
But he still has to have some sort of incredibly important thing hanging over Grasso.
Like what did he need the money for?
This can't just be about like, we're funneling you a little extra money to do this. Like
I feel like once you do it, you have to keep doing it because then they have leverage on you, right? Once you start, how do you stop? If your boss knows and is in on it too. How do you say no the next time?
But I still don't think that this all starts because Grasso made some mistake that they covered up for, and they're like, "This will never."
He made like a bad cop mistake. Oh, okay.
I think there was a bad cop situation, decision, something.
I think that's a technical term. Bad cop mistake. Yeah.
Something.
Sorry. Excessive use of force.
Somebody took care of some mistake that he made. And they're like,
and then he's under their thumb.
It's basically like, I own you now.
Yeah.
Do this. Yeah. And then it's like, well, you did that. Now I really own you now. Yeah. And now Grasso can't get out.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen Grasso, even though he's basically evil for setting up people and putting people in danger that he was working with, all that stuff. But we never actually saw him do anything evil.
That's why I object to the word evil, I guess, because I think what they keep trying to show us is him trying to save Tom or him trying, he's just sort of like, he's caught in the middle and he's done something to get himself in that position. But I don't think he is like a bad.
Half evil?
Like maybe, but like he's consumed by guilt. She was a good person. Yeah. Like this happened. This is horrible. Like if he's evil, he doesn't give a shit that Lizzie died. If he's evil, he would have just like fucked her in that bed and not worried about it. You know what I mean? I think it's more interesting for him to be a guy who you're still kind of rooting for, even though he did this thing.
I'm not rooting for him anymore.
Okay.
Lizzie's dead and it's his fault.
Okay.
Grasso
I think
Grasso
Aaliyah
needs
agrees
to be punished.
with you. I think Aaliyah agrees with you.
Yeah. Well, Leah, who I think was our number one suspect for being the mole.
I don't think number one. I think we were bouncing around, but
she was at one episode. We were like, she was the one.
She was on the board.
And now it's like she killed 2 people in the shootout.
Her being a crack shot. Her being a crack shot comes back to serve her.
She figures out they're looking at the task group, all that stuff.
Do you like how they set up? So they gave us enough Lizzie and Grasso scenes so that we would understand the tragedy of.
I would have had more.
You would have more Lizzie.
I would have
Grasso
more Lizzie Grasso, less the Ruffalo daughters.
Family stuff. And then we've got Lizzie and Aaliyah have like a couple scenes together so that we understand that Aaliyah, when Aaliyah finds that patch
I like those scenes
on her desk.
Yeah.
So like they really try to establish Lizzie as someone that multiple people would care that she's dead, even though one of them is responsible for it.
Is interestingly not Tom. Not really a bond with Tom.
No Lizzie Tom
Tom's like,
stuff.
I have enough damage.
He's like, I've got a bunch of daughters.
I got a bunch of damage already. No thanks. Let's take a break and we got to talk about the Maeve part of this. All right. So Tom goes to see Maeve.
Yeah.
And he reminds her we've met before.
Yeah.
And something really interesting happens with this. Tom, they go through all of it. And Tom pushes to let her go.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing a trial for? What the fuck was this girl supposed to do? Like, what law did she break? And now we're going to make her life worse and these other two kids. I liked how they handled all that because I thought in my head, it's a pretty dark show. Let's be honest, not a comedy.
You thought for several episodes that they were going to kill Sammy. They still might.
Am I writing that off yet? I'm not. It's a dark show.
He's safe at home with Tom. You don't think he's safe?
But I thought Maeve going to jail for the sins of the Pendergrass family was in play. I was like, really? Now we're going to fuck her life up too? It's already fucked up.
Yeah.
But it actually worked out for her. But what did you think of that whole interplay?
I love that because, Robbie made Tom promise that he would protect Maeve.
Well, turns out it wasn't the only person he made a promise with.
That's true. And then also, I like this idea because we've been asking this question all season. Like, why is it interesting to have an FBI agent who was a priest? Like, what's interesting about that? And there's this idea of Tom as someone who believes in like a different kind of justice. Like what is the law and then what is just?
Yeah.
And Tom is in here arguing with, the lawyer, the district attorney being like, well, he wasn't even doing that. He wasn't even appealing to her better angels. He's just like, I don't think you'll get a jury on your side. He was just like negging her case essentially. But his idea is like, in my sense of justice, which is a sort of divine, given what I believe in justice, this isn't right. This isn't fair, what's happening to Maeve. And so the idea of someone like Tom being in this system and, a system where this DA was excited to like throw the book at Maeve. And he's like, what purpose could that possibly serve? What are we doing here?
I think in real life, that doesn't happen all the time, would be my guess.
Tom gets away with a lot of stuff. Yeah. Tom just takes Sammy home with him. Like that's,
that was the next thing. He adopted Sam, the bird watching, animal loving simpleton kid. Just brings him in. He's a simpleton. By the way, no easier kid to adopt than Sam. It's like, just get him a couple Legos.
Yeah,
he's good for like a week and a half.
He's got a Batman Lego set.
Yeah.
So, you call him a simpleton. Where are you in like liking Sammy and wanting good things for him?
I mean, I definitely feel terrible for Sam. Right? Feel bad for him.
He made a little
Not
Lego.
An easy life.
He made a little Lego chicken named Grady, and he's like, "She's my friend." Is that not tugging at the old heartstrings, Bill Simmons?
I would have liked a couple of scenes with Sam wondering what the Phillies score was, or just a couple extra things for him. Tom's kids were confused.
This seems I understand that he's like technically a foster, in the foster system or something like that, but this seemed highly.
He's like Mia Farrow. He's just collecting kids in his house.
I was like, you can't just take him home, but you can.
Is this leading to the last scene of the show, episode 7, which neither of us have watched yet? Of a big dinner table scene with the 2 daughters, with the kid who's in jail, whatever, who's going to get out.
Yeah, Ethan.
That's probably happening. Yeah. Ethan in episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and Maeve.
And the 2 kids?
They were all at the table. I don't think the 2 kids are invited. It's probably a table for 6.
Oh, it's just Maeve. Okay.
Big dinner scene, and it's like Tom is a collector.
I'm going to try
Maybe
to apply.
Aaliyah's there.
I'm going to try to apply some newly earned knowledge. Are you just applying Sopranos rules? Because don't Sopranos seasons end with like a big family meal? Isn't that like a classic Sopranos?
I was just trying to figure out like the end game of this is Tom, who we see in the first episode, is just like a broken alcoholic, right? Like just he's drunker than anyone's ever been on HBO. And by the end of this, he is now a little bit more sober and he's added a person to the family.
Yeah,
Simpleton
Emily's
Sam.
calling him out. Simpleton Sam?
Simpleton Sam's now at the table.
Traumatized child.
And he's got his family back.
Something that Rob and I were saying last week is that we felt a little uncomfortable with this idea that like he hasn't gone to visit his son, but
how about that plot was abandoned?
But he's just brought a replacement son into the home.
Right.
We were like, that feels a little dicey to us.
Yeah, tough one. Well, I mean, you predicted this, I think, in the first episode that Sam was going to end up at Tom's house.
One of our listeners did.
Somebody predicted
because they pointed out that they both like birds.
Right.
How do you feel about Ruffalo's chicken impression?
It was bad.
It was pretty good.
I thought it was a strong episode for him.
Yeah.
Well, he has a bed for Sam because his other adopted son is still in the slammer.
I don't think it's abandoned. That's got to be finale stuff, right?
Well, why would they spend all that time with the hearing? Are you going to go? We're going to do all that for 3 episodes and then not have the hearing?
I'm going to look down the camera as I say this. We now know exactly when this show is taking place. This has been an ongoing debate with us, but our listeners have had it with our debate about this. The trial date is June 12th. So we are in early June. I have some questions about tomatoes being ready in early June. That's not how gardens work, but that's okay. We're in early June.
Probably getting pretty hot there in Pennsylvania at that point.
Emily's still in school, so school's not out for summer yet.
Phillies are playing.
Yeah.
The Sixers aren't in the finals because they never are.
So do you think we're getting the hearing in the finale?
If we don't, like, what was the point of the first 3 episodes? You have to.
Tom says in this episode, when he's talking about his sins, things he feels guilty about or whatever, he admits, like, my son's been in prison and I haven't seen him at all.
Well, what's left? So the plots that are left, Martha Plimpton's character, she's going to be I think we're probably done with her. Mm. And she's not the mole, and she's just going to be a recovering hospital. So she's over there.
Yeah. She's working her fiber intake.
We have Perry and Jason found the fentanyl bag at the end of this episode, but got rope-a-doped because it wasn't fentanyl.
Yeah.
It was just a bag of bullshit. Maeve got the bag of a lot of money, thanks to Scary Face Ray, his
and Shelley.
Embattled ex-wife.
No thanks to Ray.
Battle wife.
Thanks to Shelley.
Well, embattled wife Shelley.
Yeah.
Who turned out, she said, I'm a good person.
Yeah. And she came through.
So then scaling back to the previous episode.
Yeah.
So it started out, this is episode 5. Robbie goes to see, he's going to go like kill Scary Face Ray.
Yeah.
Then has that interaction and he just leaves and it seems like they're done and we're never going to see her again. So he obviously went back. He goes to see Freddie Frias later in the episode. And that's kind of a scene that ended abruptly.
Well, it's a setup. Yeah.
It's a setup scene. Mm-hmm. And we think Freddie Frias is giving him to the biker gang. But now I'm actually thinking it was a long con. Right?
I think it's partially a long con. Like I don't think Freddie Frias is in on it.
Interesting, because I think he is.
I think they didn't show us the end of that scene with Shelley. Or he goes back. And Robbie makes a deal with Shelley, but he goes to Freddie Frias knowing that Freddie's going to tip off Jason. And he's like, this is where I'll meet you. I'll meet you at this cabin. And he has this plan this whole time to draw Jason out there and to kill Jason. That's what he wants to do, right?
So you think Freddie Frias
is just a go-between.
Where did he get all the money for the fentanyl then?
Shelley sold it.
But to who?
To the contact that Ray had. Ray had a guy they were going to sell that had nothing to do with Freddie Frias.
So you don't think she just sold it to Freddie Frias and this is Freddie Frias's revenge against the biker gang?
Because Freddie Frias hated the biker gang, but I think...
So that's why I thought that was why he did that.
I think it's just that Tom knew that Freddie would tip him off to the Dark Hearts. And looking...
Or did Tom go, you hate the Dark Hearts. I hate the Dark Hearts. What if we did this?
Okay. That's a vast conspiracy. I'm willing to consider it. Knowing this, I keep calling him Tom because the actor. Robbie, like knowing that Robbie had this plan this whole time, rewatching episode 5.
Yeah.
When he's like asking Tom about an afterlife and all these other stuff, like he's going to die. Like he knows he's going to die. He
figures there's going to be a shootout and he might lose.
He wants to kill Jason and he doesn't care if he dies doing it. And he has no plan after this. And he's left the money behind for Maeve.
So we're going to find out what happened. Who gave them the money?
Right.
Was Freddie either involved?
Right.
is Freddie trying to double cross the
how vast,
dark
how many
arts?
counties in Pennsylvania are involved in this?
And then the other thing that's still up in the air. Well, there's two things. One is Grasso. How are they going to solve that one? And then Perry murdering Jason's wife.
Aaron, where's Aaron?
And
He just left her in the water. Is that the idea? That's what you and Rob were saying last week.
When I kill people in a quarry, I like to put a string and a rock on their legs to kind of keep them down toward the bottom. Yeah, I think that's a necessity.
Is it just one rock will do it, or do you need multiple
it's
rocks?
Like you want nice big 20-pound rock and maybe some rope, maybe even a second rock just to make sure.
Yeah, I would double rock it.
He just seemed like he's like, I'm good. That's what's going to happen
just left
here.
Her there.
Yeah, she's going to float around for a while.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. This is the thing that's actually really bothering me about Task. His name's Perry.
Yeah.
His nickname is Purr. And that really bothers me because like Purr is a nickname for Percy. Makes sense, but his name is Perry and they call him Purr. It's very confusing.
That is weird,
to me.
but you can't call him Pear because then he sounds like a fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just name
How
that
about just Perry?
Yeah.
Or P.
Big P. Anyway, Big P used 0 rocks to weigh Aaron down the quarry. If he did, we didn't see it. So I don't know what's happening.
I'm guessing as an experienced murderer, he probably was like, okay.
I hope so.
Let me drag this body over.
So what happens if Jason finds out that Perry killed Aaron?
Well, I think the 3 predictions we can safely make here are Perry and Jason are going to have, Jason's going to put 2 and 2 together and they're going to fight to the death or something will happen. So there's 1. 2 is Tom and Grasso are going to have a moment, right? And then the third one I think we can safely predict is the hearing will happen at some point in the show.
It would be very weird if it didn't. Is Maeve okay? That's my main concern. She has a bag of money that the motorcycle
So that would be the 4th
wants.
prediction then. Well, when did they put 2 and 2 together and realize that Maeve might have profited from all of this?
I don't know. Does she start spending it? Or does she hide it?
Maeve buys a Lambo?
Yeah. If Maeve rolls up in a Lambo.
My guess is she's been impressed by her smarts for most of this, although her biggest fail was probably the let me go make a payphone call. I'll leave the kid in the car. This will all work.
Not her best move.
But my guess is she's going to get out of Dodge now with that money. Take the 2 kids and they're going to go to probably Canada.
I'm just worried about Maeve perpetually. Because it's like with the Lizzie thing. We were worried all season that Lizzie was going to freeze.
Yeah.
And then she didn't. She did and she didn't. And then she died anyway.
Yeah.
So we're like, I've been so worried about Maeve. You were like, I'm worried Maeve's going to go to jail. So then there's this idea, okay, she's home, she's safe, she's with the kids. Robbie thinks he's done something good for her by providing for her with this bag of money. But that's just putting a target on her back, right?
As soon as they put 3 and 3 together.
Right.
Yeah.
Where would the money be?
Yeah. So you think she'll be the one that there's the shotgun in the woods with the crows scattering up?
You still want that shot?
It's not going to be
you
Sam.
Still want that moment?
Yeah, I still thought we were getting that moment.
Can I go back to how do you feel in stories in film or television when they leave things out? And then, so with Robbie's plan with Shelley, they left it out. We didn't get to see it. So then it's like I'm good with it. A little twist, a little turn.
Yeah, because I only like it if in retrospect you're like, oh, that's why he left, but they left it open-ended. That's why he went to sit down with Freddie Frias, but we never heard the combo.
Right.
So
the
I'm
clues
good with
were all
it.
there.
Yeah, that's why I think Freddie Frias is in on this.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Because I think they would have showed the combo otherwise.
That's a fair point. That's a great
So
point.
he's like, how about if we fuck over this biker gang in the best possible way? We'll make it seem like you're turning me in, but you're not.
I have a bag of some money for you, but other money's going to
The case against that theory is, would Freddie Frias have had people in the woods to try to kill these guys?
I think Freddie Frias wants all the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wouldn't settle for some of the money.
Like he's going to have all these people in a good spot. Could you just take all of them out?
I think I agree with you that I don't mind them not showing us like certain things or ends of scenes or something like that if the payoff is pretty soon. Like it's the next episode we find out what actually happened.
Yeah.
It's when it happens, a whole season later. And you're like, I don't remember. What are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Well, I didn't remember. I mean, we've watched 6 of these. I didn't remember that we saw Gabriel Sabarge in episode 1. or what that scene was, even though we've watched all these episodes carefully. But
it wasn't episode 1. It was
or
like
episode 2.
It was
What
episode. I think it was episode 4. It was when they're going to the park, and that whole team that's with them in the park. He's running that team. That's like Grasso's department.
Right. Okay, I remember that now.
Yeah.
I do have one more nitpick retroactive after watching episode 6.
Okay.
So they leave with all the drugs in episode 1, big shootout.
Yeah.
And they're stuck with this kid.
Simpleton Sammy, I believe you're calling.
Simpleton Sammy. Why not go to
TV's cutest child?
Why not go to the remote cabin with Sam?
Great question.
Why not use the remote cabin?
Great question.
Right there. Nobody knows you have it.
Well, then you don't have Maeve as a babysitter, built-in babysitter.
But do I even want Maeve to know I have this kid or that I did all this stuff?
I did ask Brad about, and people can tune in for that, but like Tom being a pretty bad cop and Robbie being a pretty bad criminal, and what's interesting about that to him. Do you know what I mean? Because people have been complaining about that. They're like, Robbie's not very good at this. And I actually think that's just kind of interesting.
It's kind of how you become a criminal.
Just a guy.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Grasso. He's just a guy.
Well, the thing with Sam, if you're doing this over again from Robbie's standpoint.
Yeah.
Sam, not exactly a rocket scientist. Maybe just drop him off at the mall and he's not going to be like, here's what my 2 kidnappers look like. The more we learn about Sam, he's probably not going to divulge a lot of info about the people that briefly took him after his parents were murdered.
Yeah. Yeah. Simpleton
That was
Sammy.
the mistake.
He might have been able to describe like an animal he saw, right?
True.
Yeah.
They had a house with 3 chickens.
One was named Grady. Can I ask?
Yeah.
As like a lover of action movies.
Yeah.
When Tom Pelphrey as Robbie Pendergrass says in the forest, "Is this what you came for?" Like, what did that do for you?
And through the bag?
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, they're playing some karaoke with some of the action stuff that I
loved
love.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I thought the bridge and whatever symbolism you want to take out of that and people going different directions and then things finally ending on the bridge again. I liked all that stuff. Like normally I'll think stuff like that's corny, but I actually thought it worked with this.
With the like crossing the bridge and the choices
it's
you
like
make.
The symbolism
like
of, there are 2 sides and you're going to go left or right. And now we're together on our bridge of choices. Like I did enjoy all that.
Sunday Night HBO has brought
Sunday
out the
Night
poet
HBO
in
is
you.
back.
I love it. I love it. I know they're not your favorite plotline, but we didn't talk about Sarah and Emily at all. Do you want to like mention they're reconciled, they're sticking up for each other?
Sure.
Okay. Are you on tenterhooks to find out if Emily's actually going to go to that magic show with that kid she scoops water
That was
with?
a get up and go to the bathroom scene.
Okay, you left during the close-up magic guys.
Here's the thing with TV shows.
He wears a jaunty vest though. It's not for you? Okay.
He's like, yes, I got my date. Cool. Here's the thing with these.
Yeah.
Albums have this too. Sometimes every hit.
Skippable track.
Yeah. Sometimes every song in the album can't be great. Okay. TV shows, you still haven't watched The Sopranos, but some people love the Dr. Melfi scenes. I personally do not like them.
I have watched some Sopranos.
Yeah.
Let's be so clear about that.
Trying to think. Thrones.
Oh yeah, you're like, oh God, we're back in Marine. I don't care. Like, what is Daenerys doing again this week?
It's tough to bat 1,000.
Yeah,
with plots.
Sure.
And I get why they have to have the.
You didn't like when Sarah's interrogating him in the kitchen, and she's like, "What is this kid? What's happening here?" And he's like, "Now, does anyone want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?"
I didn't mind that part.
That wasn't a good like dad moment for you.
So I don't know, maybe it's just because of what my family situation is like, but I just feel like there would be like slightly more humor.
Yeah.
I get it that there's completely humorless houses, but I feel like somebody needed to be sarcastic in this house and it's neither daughter. And then Ethan's obviously not a barrel of laughs.
Maybe Ethan's really fun when he's well medicated.
Maybe the mom was the funny one. I don't know.
Yeah. She's keeping it all together.
But it'd be like, Dad, dude, it's like you went to eBay and found another kid. Like there just should have been some joke.
Well, now Sammy's here to really bring up the level.
Right.
In the
Sammy's
house.
just excited he has a bed.
He's like, do you think is that other kid going to come and take the bed from me? Poor Sammy.
Predictions. Is Grasso alive at the end of this season?
How can he be if he's responsible for Lizzie's death?
Is he dead by his own hands or by somebody else?
Well, here's my question. Is he dead because he does something heroic? or is he dead because he just is deeper and deeper into the plot? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
is there
three
a chance for
outcomes.
like redemption for him?
He's
or
killed.
Not?
He's killed saving somebody.
Right.
Kills himself.
Yeah.
Those are our three things left.
And do a flock of birds go up in the forest for any of those moments?
No flock of birds for him.
Wow. No flock
Door
of birds
number
for
4 for Grasso is
Yeah.
Gets Away, and that's season 2.
Season 2, the Grasso season?
Which
Grasso on the run?
my sources have told me season 2 of Task is in play in a real way.
Stay tuned. We did ask Brad about it.
Okay. Yeah. So that season 2 could be built around Grasso, or we could just be in a completely different Task in some part of Pennsylvania.
New season, new Task.
Because Ingelsby has a Pennsylvania hard-on.
Yeah, we can't leave the Woodward's
Maybe he goes
territory.
into the Lehigh Lafayette territory, like Patriot League murder.
Do you think he's actually going to pay Sierra this time to co-write season 2? Or
I mean, it was already insulting that he didn't involve him as a consultant for the last one.
Yeah.
But if it was a fictional show, he should have had the 76ers in the finals. It would have been their only chance.
Just a dream, a fictional dream.
Yeah.
I love that.
Joel Embiid. He's played every game this season. What America? We could have an announcer. Yeah.
Do you wish Rob were here for this joke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Predictions.
I'm worried about Maeve. I'm hopeful for Grasso redemption.
Is there a chance Grasso lives and Maeve dies?
Since we started the season with you predicting a child getting shot in the woods, I feel like everything's on the table. Maeve could die.
Still might not be out of that one.
I want to ask you, okay, you like the symbolism of the bridge. I know we're wrapping up. We're not going to take much longer because
and the trees and the leaves and
Well, what do you think of the final shot of Robbie in the water? Like Robbie's long dead and then Maeve gets the bag of money and then Robbie's in the water.
The rare flashback of something that I thought really worked.
You're like, give me more of that
Like
quarry.
it was like Robbie finally got a win. It was like this guy had a lot of wins in life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. So
what are your predictions?
I think a lot of it depends on whether Task season 2 is the same crew or different people.
Because is Ruffalo safe?
I think Ruffalo's safe because you need him for season 2 in some form if he wants to.
If you're going to do Task season 2, you have to have Ruffalo anchoring it. Is what you're saying? I
think so. But could season 2 be Grasso on the loose? It just becomes a different show. Now we're doing The Fugitive basically.
Here's what.
So I think Grasso dies would be my
Bill.
take.
To be clear, I would not say no to
the Grasso's the fugitive.
Grasso's a fugitive.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this.
Tom just being like, I don't care.
I know.
You know.
We talked about this in another episode. I think that guy's been excellent.
Yeah. Fabian Frankel. Yeah.
And in terms of people from England impersonating American actors with accents,
great job. He should be cast in every like East Coast crime stuff going forward.
I can't wait to see him on a Netflix rom-com in a year that my wife's watching. That's terrible, but she loves it.
Is this happened to all the actors you like?
No, it'd just be like him with I don't know, Millie Bobby Brown or somebody who's like, whoa, tough. She's in a rom-com now?
Yeah.
And we're just like, Grasso needed the paycheck.
We got to expand. You got to expand the portfolio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here's what I want to say about Mark Ruffalo in this show.
Yeah.
I think he needs something really big in the finale. Because I think to a certain degree, Tom Pelphrey has kind of stolen the show. Ruffalo's the star. He's the big star of the show.
You want his Emmy Thunder back.
Yeah. Right? Pelphrey's doing a lot of work.
Could that be a hearing scene?
Fabian Frankel's doing a lot of work. We talked about Allison Oliver and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, something we need to give Ruffalo.
Monologue to the judge in the hearing.
Ruffalo big moment in the finale. He needs it.
Paul Newman at the end of the verdict, kind of big speech.
Yes.
Where one of his daughters puts their arm around him after and be like, Dad, great job.
And you're like, I love these daughter scenes. They're my favorite.
And then they all make food.
And they all have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And Sammy is fine.
Sam goes outside to look at the chickens in there. That's it. I don't know what we have an hour left and I don't know where it goes. But I assume
we've got a mole, like a rat hunt. Like we know, I really loved that the exchange between Tom and Grasso, which I thought was all timer. Like I thought it was so good. Yeah. And that's the thing is like,
Ruffalo, we should have talked about that. That was such a good scene.
Ruffalo has been the best at these like he was so good in that car scene with Tom Pelphrey, so good at this kitchen table scene with Fabian Frankel, and like talking about confession, talking about Tom doing what Tom does best, right? Grasso's like, oh, you're good, Tom. Like I see what you're doing. I see what you're trying for here.
Right.
But him saying like, there's a difference between what you believe and what you can prove. And this
That's the thing between believing something and proving it.
Yeah.
It's such a good
good
line.
And
I'm coming for you, Grasso.
Yeah. Really good
great.
stuff.
Yeah.
That I'm coming for you, Grasso, up with, is this what you came for? Is like killer stuff. But all season, Grasso has been in this crisis of faith, asking, he grew up, he didn't believe, asking Tom why he believes, essentially. And
why didn't his DJ career work out?
Right. Yeah. If there's a God, wouldn't I be the most famous DJ in Ibiza and stuff like that? But he's cradling Lizzie, and later he's like, she was gone. There was something about her that was gone. He's like discovered what a soul is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's in this like real cool crisis of faith. Yeah, purgatory. You want Grasso to have a redemption. You want Grasso season 2.
I'm glad you reminded me to bring up that scene because I had meant to and I forgot. I thought that was a great cat and mouse scene.
Yeah, really.
I also liked when Grasso slowly figured out what was going on. He's like, "Can I have a cigarette, Tom?" "Oh no, this is my house. I guess I can have one." But it was just clear. It's like, "Oh shit, this guy's onto me." Now, why didn't Tom just bring the cops over and like arrest Grasso? Like
he's not supposed to be on the case at all anymore.
I know, but
they took his gun. He's supposed to be at home. He's not even supposed to be there.
But the guy
real clerk's energy
clearly broke the law. Like, did he need more evidence?
They have to prove it. They don't have proof on him yet. So that's what the finale is about, is getting proof on Grasso, right?
Now we're in Wire season 2.
Love that for us. I also think that like before Tom does the kitchen table scene, when they're still in the hospital, before he knows that before Martha Plimpton tells him about the file, which would have been nice to know before they went into the woods.
Right.
Why did they go into the woods with him when she knew that? I don't know.
Great point.
But when Tom
Are you sure she knew before?
Well, she said we have a problem, and like the guy who works in her office, you know what I mean? She was sort of looking into it. So I don't know if she didn't have that file before they went, but when they're in the hospital, before Tom knows that Grasso has his file on him, he gives them the old Robin Williams, Good Will Hunting, it's not your fault. Like, he gives him like a full, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
When Grasso fucking knows it's his fault.
Right.
And to have that at the beginning of the episode, and then the kitchen table of like, I'm coming for you, Grasso. This is an incredible episode of television.
Any stuff from the readers before we go that jumped out?
I think we did it.
Do people feel like this is in the top shelf HBO limited series pantheon, or like one level below?
I think they have an opportunity in the finale to bump it up into Mare. It's not quite Mare territory. It hasn't become, I think everyone's watching it, everyone's talking about it yet. So the finale is a banger. I think it has the opportunity to get there. But like, don't you have that sense it's not where White Lotus was early this year? It's not.
I think you made the point earlier, like when they released it, which I know they've had success other times in the calendar, but there's just a lot going on in September.
Yeah.
From a sports standpoint, from an everything standpoint, September, October, people are going back to school. Like, I think this would have crushed in the summer, like in a crazy way.
Yeah, all that Corey action.
And they just don't think of the summer this way for shows like this. And I think they feel like they need something to stay in the conversation when there's so much conversation about everything.
And that's a very, that's, you and I are old enough to remember when September and October is when all those shows came out.
The famous Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, same time against football.
Yeah.
In like 2013. That was the all-timer.
So I think
and Mad Men. I think there might have been 3. Were there 3 at the same time one time?
It was Mad Men was definitely on at the same time as Thrones at one season.
We had at least 2 going constantly. Yeah.
Yeah. That was really tough.
It was
great, but it was horrible if you were covering it.
Wasn't horrible if you were running a content site.
No, I mean, as someone who was trying to cover it, it was tough.
Do you think I felt bad for the people covering it?
Okay.
We needed the content. No, those were the glory days.
Yeah, it was great stuff. But I think that Task has an opportunity, if the finale is a banger, to like jump up into that level. But I don't think it's quite there yet.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I think it has a chance.
Do.
It's all about how you land the plane.
I think it'll have long legs. I think there's good word of mouth. I think people who watched it will tell people to watch it. I don't think anyone's walking out of the season saying, don't bother with Task. I think it's going to people are going to catch on. And I think it's going to be one of those things where season 1 is a little quieter, and then a lot of people will have caught up for season 2. That seems like
that's the HBO sweet spot. That's what they love the most.
Gotta love it.
All right, we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna throw to your interview with Brad.
So the episode 6 title, "Out Behind Ideas of Wrongdoing and Right Doing, There is a River," is a tweak on a line from a Rumi poem.
Yep.
So I was wondering, sort of, what about that Rumi poem spoke to you, and why are we tweaking it from field to river inside of this title?
Yeah, that's a good question, Joanna. I think what always resonated about the quote was, this idea of right and wrong, and go past that and look deeper. And that to me was so much about the show. That really was what excited me about the show, was to dive into a group of characters that we aren't able to put in a box, that we're constantly trying to have an audience accept the inconsistencies, within each of these characters. And the quote spoke to that. I think it was, I always read it as asking the reader, to look past that, to go deeper. And I think if you look at the show and all the characters, we're trying to do that with each of them. We always said on set, we don't have to we don't have to like all the decisions they make, but we have to understand them. And that's what we were always trying to do with each of the characters in the show, was understand the why. And I think, and listen, it helps to work with such incredible actors. These guys were just amazing guys and girls. It was such a wonderful cast. So they made a big difference in achieving that.
Throughout the season, we've had this great motif of the quarry and the anointing of the water on the shoulders. And we get this final shot of this episode of Robbie having pulled one over, at least for now, on Jason, but happy and light in the water. Is this an afterlife? Is this the moment Robbie thought of this idea? Is this just you wanted to show him in a better time and a place? What do you think?
I think, it was so, it wasn't in the script, Joanna. It was not in the script.
Okay.
The script ended with Maeve. And it's one of those things, like I had a very distinct experience with this in Mare with Evan Peters' character, where I felt like in a way, I underestimated the impact that character would. In the script, he wasn't that good, I'll be honest. Evan elevated that character in ways I couldn't imagine. And I remember getting to the 5th episode of Mare and being like, oh my God, we're really in trouble because people love him so much. And I'm not just saying that. It wasn't that. He was fine in the script. I thought he was a good character, but I think Evan elevated him. And I felt I had the same reaction to Pelphrey in this show, where I liked Robbie as a character in the scripts, but when I was editing the show, his performance just was so incredible. And I remember getting to the end of the episode and going, God, we have to give Robbie a moment of triumph here. He's owed that moment. And I went back into the dailies, and Jeremiah had shot a couple jumps into the quarry, and there was this beautiful moment that we found by just going back into the dailies where I don't even know what Tom was reacting to in the moment, but he was laughing, and then the camera sort of just a moment of luck, Joanna, it went underwater and captured his legs swimming in a way. And when I saw that, I just felt like it served a few purposes. One is it allowed the audience to see him again and to give him this win we so desperately want him to have. And also, I think the quarry to me was always his version of heaven. Again, he's not a believer in the traditional sense of, where I'm going in this life. He says it in the back of the car with Tom. I forget the exact quote, but he mentions it when he's talking to Tom in the car. And so to me, the quarry represented his heaven here. And as soon as we put it in, at first I was like, I don't know if it's going to work. And then we watched it a few times, Joanna. I felt like I can't imagine the episode without it now in a funny way,
I did have a question about Pelphrey because I find him so watchable in everything. This is a really great marriage of material and actor, but he's always has this thing that is just completely compulsively watchable and empathetic and odd, like offbeat, a lot of his choices.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is at the heart of why Tom Pelphrey connects with audiences the way that he does.
I don't know what it is. It's I guess I can speak to why I cast him as Robbie though.
Yeah.
And I think it was an accessibility. I think I've told this story before. I was on set of another project, and we would get casting tapes sent to us. And Tom was one of the really early in the process, maybe the first like 2 or 3 of the tapes we got from A.V. Kaufman, our casting director. Yeah. And he put himself on tape, and it was the scene in episode 1 where he's talking to Cliff about he wants someone in his life, and his wife is left. And I got about a half a minute into the audition, and he laughs, and he has an iconic laugh, Tom. He has an incredible laugh. And I heard him laugh, and I paused the audition tape, and I distinctly remember this and thinking, wow, this guy has something. And then my phone rang, and it was Jeremiah, our director. He's like, dude, I just watched this guy's tape. Perfect. And it was Tom Pelphrey he was talking about. And I went back and finished the audition, and we didn't read anybody after that. And I think it was a mixture of a couple things. I felt Robbie's childlike sense of wonder in Tom. He has this incredible laugh. He does something incredible with his eyes, especially in the 5th episode. There's a lot of amazing eye acting, I would call it. Like there's a sadness, a heartbreak, a glow, a gleam. He has all these different shades of acting in his eyes. But I felt like he possessed the childlike wonder of Robbie. And I also felt like he has the physicality that I wanted Robbie to have, that you could believe him in bed with his kids, and you could believe him in a drug house smashing his pistol against someone's nose. And I felt like we had to believe both those sides completely. And Tom he's just so accessible. And also I think in this case, Joanna, he grew up around here. I think Tom, and he'll tell you this, I think he knew Robbie's. I think he really understood this world, the friendship between him and Cliff, the banter between guys, the sports talk. He really understands this world. And I think he connected with it on that level too.
I was reading a different interview where you were talking about, you're like, Tom's not a very good cop. Like he's not a very good cop. And, Robbie's not a very good robber, not a very good criminal. No. What is more interesting to you about a story of a not very good cop and a not very good criminal sort of barreling towards each other?
Yeah. I think we really leaned into that. I think that, that was something we wanted to wrap our arms around. Because I felt like we had seen, and we always reference Heat as a structural sort of, as a paradigm, because it was a collision course. But if you look at Heat, it was a very high-end detective and a high-line robbery crew. And I feel like I'm not that smart of a writer when it comes to characters at the top of their game. I feel like my stronger abilities as a writer are to lean into the flaws and the weaknesses and the vulnerabilities of characters. And also I like to tap into that type of character. And I just find it more interesting. I found it to be more sympathetic that Robbie was trying to be something he really wasn't, and Tom was trying to be something he wasn't. And I felt that Tom had lived a life of service as a parish priest, and he felt that there was something that he could connect that to the FBI, even though it was wildly different. And Robbie was driven by vengeance, but he didn't quite know how to be a criminal. He's strong, he has the physicality, he has the team, but he's not that smart. And I wanted to lean into that. I felt like we wanted them to make mistakes and miss clues, because I would always say to Ruffalo on set, you're not a guy that's good with a gun. You're not going to see the clues other people miss. What is interesting to me about your character is that you're approaching the job with a lot of compassion and empathy. And for Pelphrey, it's not that you're an amazing criminal, but it's that you're driven by a perhaps misguided love of your brother, and a desire to help your children. And I don't know, as soon as we kind of wrapped our arms around that, it just felt way more interesting to me. Yeah. And I loved how sloppy it was. And I love that I love that they would make these like mistakes that, that we wouldn't expect them to make. And I felt like in some way, all those little mistakes and errors and flaws make them more real than if they were extremely, perceptive and extremely smart about robbing houses. I felt like it actually, as I started to write it, all the flaws actually drew me closer and I felt more connected to them as people.
I like that you invoked heat. Heat is obviously like one of the blueprints for this kind of story. And since we are huge Heat fans here at The Ringer, from episode 1, we were like, okay, here's a cop and here's a criminal. They're on a collision course. So when are we getting our diner scene? Like, when are we getting this diner scene? And, what episode is it going to be? What is it going to be like? Sort of thing. And we get it of a sort in this car.
Yeah.
And something that one of my co-hosts brought up was this idea of like how interesting to have them facing the same direction instead of like, classically De Niro, Pacino facing each other across a table. You've got them both facing front in this car, looking at each other through the rearview mirror sort of thing.
Yep.
Was that an intentional way to sort of like, let's take 3 steps away from that iconic thing so we can own it and make it our own thing?
Yes, exactly. I think we knew we had to have that moment and just felt like the story demanded that moment. And I loved the idea of that scene. And, again, we got that idea from Heat where you're waiting that whole time and then those two characters come together. But you're right. We go, okay, how do we take that idea and do something adjacent? How do we subvert it in some way? And in talking to Jeremiah about it, we loved the idea of them being in a car and driving. And I always had the idea that, that Robbie he'd be backed into a corner and he would have to kidnap Tom. And I just love the idea that and is played so beautifully in this scene by both of them, but especially Mark, in that he feels, there's a sensation at his back for every second of the drive, like a bonfire at his back. He's feeling, and he's looking up, and I just felt like it added, especially to Mark's character, a tension there of kind of, not being able to face this guy, not knowing what he's doing back there, trying to check the mirrors and get a sense for it. And it just added a layer of tension that we felt was really great. And all the driving scenes were done practically, which I felt was such a beautiful choice that Jeremiah made early in the process, because I don't know, every time I watch a show and you see the green screen, I always feel it. And we made a real effort to shoot all the driving stuff practically. There's a couple shots in there where we just, we were up against it with time and we had to, but not many. And that scene especially, we wanted to shoot on an open road. Anyway, I just felt like as soon as we got in the car and as soon as I saw it on the monitor, it just felt right. And those guys brought it on the day. And it was, it's one of the strongest sequences in the series, I think. I'm really happy with how that one ended up.
Yeah, and then I love the mirror of, them back in the car together, and this time sort of Tom holding him.
Yes.
Ruffalo's, of course, bringing this very paternal, despite his own dysfunctions as a father, like this very paternal energy here, leader of a team, obviously a spiritual leader. But you've got these other sort of adoptive parent-child relationships going throughout. You've got Perry and Jason. And then in this episode, I thought the sort of Michael Dorsey, Anthony Grasso scene was so incredible. This idea that, Grasso's like, did you tell him I was a good boy, right? And then the way that Michael sort of like shoved, the way that they react is so such a twisted sort of father-son dynamic. So I'm wondering if you could talk about sort of the way that echoes across sort of all the different corners of this story, and if Tom exists as if like, don't we wish Grasso had met Tom earlier in his life?
I know. It's so true, Joe. I felt like Maeve was, it was really a story about mothers. That's what I was really exploring there, and especially Maeve as a mother. And I felt like this was a story about fathers, very much about fathers. And I feel like the Perry-Jason relationship is very, very much father-son, and we leaned into that. And the same with Dorsey and Grasso. And I think it probably stems from, me being a father and my own sort of anxieties and fears and always wondering what are the good things about myself that my kids are taking away, and what are the bad things. And I love that you say that about Grasso, because I always said to Fab, and he agreed, like, Grasso's a good guy. He was failed in his mind by some of the institutions. The church, I think he feels, has failed him. That's why he's constantly asking Tom. Like, he wants Tom to convince him that that God is there, that God is good, that God is able to redeem him in some way. He wants to be convinced of that. And unfortunately, he's asking the wrong guy at the wrong time, which is like, this is the absolute wrong guy at the wrong time. There's nothing that Tom is going to say in this moment that's going to help you, Grasso. But I feel like it's that's why there is a father-son relationship with Tom and Grasso, is that he wishes he had met someone like Tom earlier in his life. Instead, he's gotten so far down this path. And it's why I really love the scene. I won't spoil it, but there's a great scene in the 7th episode that I really love with him and his sister, that I feel like is so moving, about how he's kind of lost his way. And but I think that's a relationship that echoes in all of the families, and this really is a story about families: the biker family, the Tass family, Tom's family, and Robbie's family, and one of the relationships that we always were trying to lean into was the father-son dynamic, and I think that's very. That's really perceptive to think that if he had met Tom instead of Michael Dorsey, he would be fine instead. And I think so much of this show is about the choices you make and how they reverberate and the ripple effect of these small choices. Because in my mind, what I always thought about Grasso is he did one thing and he thought, I'll do it this one time.
Right.
And instead it was, well, now you did it one time. Like, there's no getting out of it. And he's been able to maintain this house of cards, Joanna. And only when he comes onto this task force, it's like someone threw the windows open, all the wind's coming in, and he's trying to defend it until he can't,
It's funny. I misremembered the rhythms of Mare, because I went back and double checked, and my memory was that there was so much more of Mare after the revelation of who done it inside of Mare. There is emotionally, Juliette Nicholson and Kate are just sort of like absolutely devastating us, but it's really only sort of like the back 20 of the finale. Here we've got Robbie has died and Lizzie has died sort of 20 minutes into this episode. And so we've got the rest of this episode and then a whole finale of just sort of cleanup and emotionally sorting through. And all of a sudden, because of Grasso's enormous guilt around, like, I had my eye on him because I cover House of the Dragon religiously, so I love this actor. So I had my eye on Grasso this whole time, but he sort of emerges as this other sort of, stealth surprise central figure of his moral conundrum. Him saying in the kitchen, she was a good person. Obviously, you set up this ultimate pain of this flirtation romance with Lizzie and Grasso. But how are you envisioning the rhythms of the season? This sort of like early climax in one sense, and then not just a denouement, but like almost another story here at the end.
A couple things stood out to me that were structural, I would say, worries. But one was, I just didn't know how long we could keep Sam in the house, and I felt like eventually the audience would get a little bored with it. Like, he's playing with the chicken again. I was worried, like, what are we doing with Sam? And so every time I would try to write a scene, I felt like we are really spinning our wheels. And instead of trying to jam that through, well, let's look at the note. What's the note behind the note? Well, maybe let's try to subvert expectations. Even with the Tom and Robbie scene, audiences probably would have expected that, as you said, to be the next episode or a little bit further into the story. So I was looking at ways to kind of, subvert the expectations of the audience and do something unexpected. And it felt like, and I also felt like, well, again, this was the discovery of Pelphrey, is like, he's so good, he's so captivating that you go, okay, wow, he's out of the show. Like, how do we sustain the story? And so it became clear that Grasso's storyline and Tom's, all his stuff in his personal life, and the dark arts had to carry us unto the end of the show. And so we really, really leaned into the Grasso angle, have a great conversation with him and Tom at the end of episode 6 that kind of sets up a confrontation that's going to happen in episode 7, or it's going to lead to something that has to be paid off at least. And I felt like, I was also hopeful that Maeve, Amelia, is so moving as a character. The audience she's so great. She's so great. And so I felt like, I'm hopeful we have enough on the bone at the end of 6 where an audience wants to see what's going to happen to all these characters who remain. And I hope they feel satisfied with, all the arcs ending in a way. And I think it was tough to bring it all together, but I hope we did it in a way that feels hopeful.
Robbie not making it, to me, felt like a foregone conclusion. So I wasn't really sort of like wondering if he was going to get away or wondering, but I was just sort of like, but is Maeve going to be okay? It was like very much on my mind. So that's
so funny. It's so funny. My sisters are always texting me about Maeve, and it's a testament to Amelia, who's just absolutely incredible in the show. And I think I was so moved by her character because I felt like she had made all these things were happening to her. Yeah. She had done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And she was constantly just trying to stay afloat and get herself out of these situations. And she's definitely a character that I love. And Amelia is just so wonderful.
Can I ask you, this is a personal fascination of mine.
Yeah.
You have so many UK actors in this cast. And a question I had was, is it easier for a UK actor to access the Delco accent than it is for an American actor, like in a weird way?
I think it's something to do with the training, Joanna. I don't know what it is. I mean, we had Kate who could snap into Delco, and then immediately after cut, it was back to the British. It was incredible. And the same with Amelia. I don't know if it's something with the training, but my experience is that they have an easier time accessing the accent. And I don't know if it's because they train in if they have to practice that in their training more, but it's amazing. And also they're not scared by it. A lot of the American actors come and they go, listen, man, this is going to be really tough. You got to get me in early.
Yeah.
But the British, they wrap their arms around it, and they're up for the challenge, and they actually kind of, they dig in. And Alison Oliver, who's Irish, is amazing at it too. I think she's got a great accent, and she's a trip.
I think she's the best. Okay, so I want to talk about Allison and Lizzie.
Yes.
One of our listeners actually sort of completely blew me away, I think a week or 2 weeks ago, by identifying Lizzie as the deer that Sammy was talking about earlier in the season.
My gosh.
She was like, Lizzie's the one who freezes. Lizzie in Foot Chases is the one who's sort of like in an ungainly way, sort of like leaping over things. And so
that's so funny.
Will she be, because we were like, is Sammy the deer or something like that? Will she be the deer? And then she got hit by a car. I was like, I can't believe our listener called that like 2 weeks ago. But can you talk about that sort of motif, that like Sammy talking about deer and looking both ways, and then culminating in how it is that Lizzie sort of freezes and then doesn't inside of this showdown, which is what we were hoping for her, that she wouldn't freeze when her life is in danger, and then she gets hit by a car and dies.
I know. Well, it's funny. I love Sam. I loved him. I love that dialogue in the kitchen with Robbie, because I think it kind of, it was very innocent, and I believed a kid would say it. And it also spoke to what a sweet, innocent kid he is in the show. And the story, I always felt it sort of spoke to so many characters. And so, hey, who were kind of rushing into these things without a ton of thought, right? That was Robbie, perhaps Lizzie at times too. So I never quite connected the deer to Lizzie. I will say that. I wish I was smarter than that. But I think I love Lizzie as a character, and I think Allison is just so dang good. Like I can't really, like, again, a character that on the page was fine, Joanna, but Allison is just so good. And, one of the lines that always resonated with me, and we fought to keep it in the show because we were up against time, but is when she's in the woods and they're hiding out in the stakeout, and she says, I don't know what my one quality is in life. I don't know what it is. And that to me it really resonated because I know so many people. I'm lucky to have landed on something that I really love to do. But so many people I know are out there working jobs that they're not passionate about or don't know what it is they're passionate about. And I know so many people in life who are like that are looking to, land on the one thing that gets them out of bed, that gets them passionate. And I just loved that line because it felt like she hadn't quite been able to find herself in life yet. She was on the path. And then, as you said, she has this great moment of heroism in the woods where she's scared, and then she gets the courage to do this one thing. And you feel like, oh, wow, she's going to take this and she's going to carry it with her into this other part of life that after this sequence. And then bang, everything that Grasso has set up, the chickens have come to roost in his life in a way. And yeah, it was a heartbreaker because Allison, again, another one of those things where you get to the edit and you go, oh my God, people are going to hate us because Allison is so lovable as a character,
Can I tell you a weird side story is that when I was covering Mayor of Easttown at a different outlet, and it was the kind of place where like I was watching this coverage I'm watching week to week because we're podcasting about it, we're theorizing. I don't want to get ahead, but in that other outlet, I watched all the screeners that were sent out. And I don't know if you remember this, but when Evan Peters' character died, the VFX weren't done, and so the blood spatter that hit the wall was not there. And so I was like, maybe he'll be okay. I was like, maybe that wasn't a fatal shot. And then I saw it for real. I was like, oh no, okay, all right, I see.
Oh my God. I think people still hate me about that. And again, a testament to Evan, for being so incredibly lovable and charming because there's so many people who still come up to me about that scene.
Well, I wanted to ask you because I think you undersell yourself, but I've heard you say that you don't think that you're really like a big picture plot guy, but you like these little interpersonal interaction scenes are your favorite sort of to write. And sometimes you sort of think of those and then think of the plot as a shell around it. And of course, like one of the reasons why Zabel's death means so much in Mary is that barroom scene that Evan gets to do earlier.
Yes.
And you mentioned Tom's audition being this Robbie Cliff conversation scene, which was my favorite scene of the premiere. Yep. And so I was wondering if you had a favorite either small ball interaction or monologue of this season that you got to write that you were just like, this is it. This is the juice.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so funny because that, all the scenes you just talked about, those are the ones that get me out of bed. Like I love those scenes. Like, the Grasso and Lizzie at the bar and getting to pick the specific music and getting to find those moments where Allison, her eyes light up and I love those scenes. Those are the ones that, I hate editing procedural stuff. I'm always like, God, get me through this. Just like move the ball down the field 5 yards. Let's just get the clue and go to the next scene. But I would say a couple come to mind, like scenes that I'm really proud of in the show. The dinner table scene, I think, is in episode 2. I thought we did a really good job with that scene. And that to me was good because it was moving the plot ahead in that, now Tom is stuck between his two daughters, but also I felt like it revealed a lot of hurt, a lot of emotional baggage that everyone was. So it felt like if a scene was working on 2 levels emotionally and then also moving the plot. I love Aaliyah, confessing to Shelley that she was abused and that she's stuck. I love that scene. I really like, the bedroom scene where Allison's offering KY to Fab. That one gets me. Like, I thought that was really funny. Obviously, Tom and Robbie in the car was a really fun sequence. A scene I really like in the show is when Tom comes home with Sam and his daughters come in the kitchen. They're like, why is this kid here? And he's like, oh, I didn't know what to do with them. And does anyone want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I love to find the moments of humor, Joanna, because if you take an aerial view of the show, it's quite heavy. And so I'm always, most excited about the character beats. And honestly, those are the moments that get me the most excited. The procedural stuff, I feel, is I have to write it, and we have great advisors who help with those scenes, but they don't get me very excited, I have to be honest. And it's all the little kind of weird character moments. Like on Mayor, I loved writing Gene Smart getting hit by the door and all the goofiness that happened in the family. Those are my favorite scenes. But I really do feel like the plot is just an excuse, where I get to spend time with all these characters that I really, really love. And I truly feel that way. And again, I know we have to have a plot and people have to click to the next episode, but I love those little moments most. I think they are what's, as a writer, gets me excited about writing all those characters as moments of connection and humor,
I could watch Lizzie and Anthony talk about his DJ career forever, absolutely.
I could too, by the way. I hope there's a spin-off eventually where I get to write those scenes, and because I love to write them and it's so funny. And anyway, and those two together are just so good,
Okay, so this is my last question. You mentioned spin-off. I've seen a million people ask you about sort of a Task season 2, and your answer is sort of changing as the season goes on. You were like, sort of at the beginning, you're like, let's see if people even like this. People obviously like it. But what I'm curious about, I've heard you talk about this place as like a place you're interested in. And so I'm curious if you wanted to continue more Task, is it the place that you're interested in following, or is it sort of like, I would still want Ruffalo at the center of it, or more character following? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if we did it's a great question. I think if we did another Task, I think there would have to be some, I would want to explore this, at least some of the same characters. I would want to bring them back in a way and take them. I think a part of the fun of Task, and again, this is probably a selfish thing here, Joanna, is like, I do think a part of the fun of Task is that, again, I get to write another group of people on a task force. Like for me, that is the joy, like I get to create a couple new characters to put on a task force and explore their, dynamic over the course of a case. And so, but having said that, I do think that if we did another Task, I would like to ground it in Mark's character in some way and bring him back. Because I do feel like, and I felt this way very much about Mayor, is like, I feel like there's an interesting, like there's still more to his journey here. I just find Mark's life situation so, in the best possible way as a writer, so messy and complicated. And that's always really, I would say, good soil. When something's really messy and complicated, it's good to start from there. People are always like, why do you write such dark things? And I'm going, well, if people were happy, I wouldn't have a story, So like, I feel like they have to move away from something, or either they're stuck or they're trapped, or there's in Mayor's case, she wouldn't confront the death of her son. In Tom's case, he wasn't going to have forgiveness in his heart. I would love to bring him back. And I love the idea of like, who are the characters he has to work with. That was such a joy to write the Grassos and Lizzies and Aaliyahs. And I love the idea of, again, I really see myself as a character writer. So the more characters I get to create, the happier I'll be, Joanna.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to whatever that looks like.
Oh,
and
thank you.
However long I have to wait for it. And thanks so much for the chat. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks, Joanna. I really appreciate you guys talking about the show.
Thanks to Brad Ingelsby for joining us. Thanks to Joanna. Sorry Rob couldn't make it this time around. Thanks to Chris for helping out as well. Who else helped us out? Justin? Probably Kai. He's
Grady.
Probably helping out somewhere in the background.
Right.
So thanks to everybody. We'll be back for episode 7, season finale in 1 week. Thanks.